Why is Top Rank dropping the ball on the promotion for this huge undisputed fight we have about to happen this weekend? We got Jose Ramirez, undefeated from Avenal, California. We have Josh Taylor from across the pond over there in Scotland. He's undefeated. He's also got 2 belts. The last time the junior welterweight boxing division had an undisputed champion was in 2004. That's what, 15 years ago, 16 years ago? It was Costa Tszyu when he fought Zab Judah.
Hey, hear him. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier.
Hey, what's up with it, family? It's Hot Boxing Minute. Let's talk boxing. First order of the day. Why is Top Rank dropping the ball on the promotion for this huge undisputed fight we have about to happen this weekend? For those of you who have been in a cave or casuals that don't really keep up on boxing, there's an undisputed fight about to happen this Saturday, which means all 4 belts from the major sanctioning bodies could unify under one undisputed champion. There'll be 2 fighters that are undefeated. Both of them are unified champions, means both of them have multiple belts in this junior welterweight division. We got Jose Ramirez, undefeated from Avenal, California, a 2012 Olympian. We have Josh Taylor from across the pond over there in Scotland. He's undefeated. He's also got 2 belts. Both of these guys, on paper, it looks like are going to make for a great war that might go down as one of the classics. Now, to put it in historical perspective out there, the last time the junior welterweight boxing division had an undisputed champion was in 2004. That's what, 15 years ago, 16 years ago? It was Costa Tszyu when he fought Zab Judah. I still remember that fight. It was an awesome fight. Kind of a controversial stoppage because the ref kind of stopped it because Zab Judah got knocked down and kind of didn't have his feet under him. That's a whole different issue. During that time, I think there was 3 undisputed champions. It was Costa Tszyu, Bernard Hopkins, and Roy Jones Jr. Man, I miss those times in boxing. Anyways, we're into a new era. This Saturday in Las Vegas, 2 different worlds are going to collide. We want one guy who wants to represent for Scotland and bring, obviously, the undisputed belts home. We've got the man from Avenal, California, Mexican-American. You know when they got Mexican blood in them? They got warrior blood. Hey, the Tartan Tornado also has warrior blood. I don't even know who it is I favor in this fight. Honestly, I keep going back and forth. I've been following both careers closely. I've actually been following Jose Ramirez since he was an amateur in the 2012 Olympics. I just started following Josh Taylor at about 2018 during the World Boxing Super Series. If you haven't had a chance to go look back at that World Boxing Super Series, I was such a huge fan of that tournament. It was out there in Saudi Arabia. The setup was great. The promotion for it was great. The ring had the crazy lights going up. Anyways, Jose Ramirez has I would guess you would say it's a linear moving style. He's a plotter, but he likes to apply constant pressure on you, and he's a volume puncher. And my favorite fight of his had to be when he fought Maurice Hooker. I'm not going to lie. I thought Maurice Hooker was going to beat him. At the time, Maurice Hooker was the man in his division. He was a junior welterweight. I think he had the IBF strap. I could be wrong, but back then I thought Maurice Hooker was going to be like the next Tommy Hearns. Maurice Hooker has really long hands. He's a really accurate puncher. He's from out there in Texas. Anyways, Maurice Hooker caught that nasty fade, and there goes Jose Ramirez. That was probably the keystone win for Jose Ramirez that made his career what it is as far as being an unquestionable talent and an unquestionable force in the junior welterweight division. Then there's Josh Taylor. He came off that terrific win against Regis Prograis, a very heated, very controversial fight. It could have been a split decision draw. I kind of thought it was a split decision draw. They gave the decision to Josh Taylor. I'm not mad at that. It was a great fight. Ultimately, the fans won when they saw that fight. So, on paper, it looks like it's going to be one of the candidates for Fight of the Year. I hope so. Sometimes they do turn out the way we think it's going to turn out. Sometimes it turns out to be a total bust. Hopefully, we get the prior, and we get to see a fight that's going to have fans salivating for more from both of these fighters. Jose Ramirez, kind of linear, has a great engine, high cardio, is able to go the championship rounds and turn up the gas when it's time to go the distance. He's definitely a volume puncher. Definitely prefers his 1-2, his straight punches. Great with the hooks, a little bit wide in the hooks. Then there's Josh Taylor. Freakishly athletic, likes to cut angles, very elusive. Great from mid-range, great from up close. Jose Ramirez is also good from up close. Like I said, I don't know. Certain times, I'm just biased because I like Jose Ramirez and I want to see the tough Mexican warrior get his undisputed championship. I love his story. He represents the farmers in Central Valley out there in Fresno and Avenal. And he's a big, proactive, political dude that likes to work. There was a big drought back then, a few years back, and he was big on advocating for getting water to get funneled into the Central Valley for the farmers. Obviously, if there's no water, there's no farmland. And if you don't know, Central Valley, California is where something like 70% of the United States crops and fruits are grown. So he comes from that tough first generation immigrant farmer family. And then you have the tough Tartan Tornado from out there in Scotland. I can't take anything away from either fighters. I'm very confused as to who to pick on this as far as my prediction goes. Maybe I'll get something closer to that. If you follow me on TikTok, I'll probably put something on Friday as far as what it is my concrete decision is going to be. But as of right now, I'm 50-50. That's all up in the air. Okay, so we got the undisputed issue out of the way. Y'all folks, tune into that fight on Friday. On Saturday, it's going to be on ESPN Plus or ESPN if I'm not mistaken. Hopefully I didn't get that detail wrong. Let's move past this undisputed historical fight between Jose Ramirez and Josh Taylor. And can we take a second to talk about this Deontay Wilder fiasco that's going on and how it's going to interrupt the AJ Tyson Fury fight? Okay, so according to Eddie Hearn and Bob Arum, they secured a $150 million site fee, rich Saudi Arab oil money for Saudi Arabia, and Tyson Fury announced that they had an August 14th date set for the big undisputed showdown between Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, the two big kings of the heavyweight division. Between them two, they have all the major belts from the four sanctioning bodies. It would have been an undisputed heavyweight champion. I don't really quite know when the last time we had an undisputed heavyweight champion. I think it might have been Lennox Lewis. Don't quote me on that, but I think it was Lennox Lewis, and then he ended up retiring. And then one of the Klitschko's got it, Vladimir Klitschko, and I don't think he ever actually became undisputed. Anyways, Deontay Wilder, after that second fight, there was actually a third fight in the contract as far as I understand the situation with him and Tyson Fury. We all saw it. Tyson Fury totally worked Deontay Wilder and showed that Deontay Wilder couldn't fight on the back foot. Deontay Wilder got mollywopped, went out on his shield, or wanted to go out on his shield. Mark Braylon threw in a towel, but dude, there was blood coming out of Deontay Wilder's ear. It was clear that he had to throw in a towel. Deontay Wilder was very mad at Mark Braylon, and they have since split ways as best as I understand. Now there's videos online of Deontay Wilder training with Malik Scott, one of the guys he had knocked out. Now, Malik Scott was a great professional. I give him that. I don't know why you would leave Mark Braylon, though. For those of you who don't know, Mark Braylon was an Olympic gold medalist, was an established professional when he competed as a pro, but the important thing about Mark Braylon is the lineage that he comes from. He comes from that dynasty called Kronk's Gym. He was there under the legend Emanuel Stewart. And Emanuel Stewart actually, and even Emanuel Stewart's nephew, is one of Tyson Fury's trainers, strangely enough. But when you see that 1-2 punch that Deontay Wilder's famous for, what you are seeing is the Emanuel Stewart school of boxing handed down generation after generation. That 1-2 punch is not an accident. That 1-2 punch is all Emanuel Stewart. He taught it to Mark Braylon. Mark Braylon taught it to Deontay Wilder. Now, unfortunately, there were other little subtleties and crafts in his game that Deontay Wilder needed. He started boxing a little bit late, 18 or 19 if I'm not mistaken, and he lost a lot of the subtleties. Now, say somebody like Maravilla, Sergio Martinez, started fighting at 20 years old, but Maravilla was very athletic and he was an open sponge to learning new things. According to Mark Braylon in some of the interviews I've seen, he said that Deontay Wilder essentially can't be taught. And it makes sense to hear that from Mark Braylon. Number one, Mark Braylon isn't the type of person to blow smoke up in anybody's face. And number two, when you see Deontay Wilder's power, that's God-given. You can incrementally increase your power as a fighter, but essentially what power you have as a puncher is what you're born with. And clearly Deontay Wilder has that God body power. He's knocking everyone out left and right. Most of his opposition was tomato cans. I mean, aside from maybe Luis Ortiz and Bemain Stavern, really there wasn't much on his resume as far as heavy competition. He got to Tyson Fury. He had that first fight, which was a draw. I had it pegged as a win for Tyson Fury. I'm not mad at the draw. I don't think 2 knockdowns in a fight where you thoroughly get outboxed constitutes a draw, to be honest. But anyways, much love to Deontay Wilder. Hey, we haven't had a great American champion in a while. He held down that belt for quite a few years. The second fight, he lost it to Tyson Fury. And now we are here, on the cusp of one of the biggest heavyweight undisputed title fights in a long time in boxing. And it looked like the plans were in cement. Everybody was waiting for the date. About a week after Tyson Fury finally announces the date, that's when the arbitration settlement comes through. And the arbitration stated that they had to honor that end of the deal and give Deontay Wilder that third fight before September 15th. Uh-oh, we got problems. Obviously, if the deadline for that third fight is September 15th, that does not coincide very well with the August 14th date that they have in Dubai. So now, as far as what I understand and what I'm hearing from Bob Arum online, is that they have no intention of paying Deontay Wilder hush money, because they could pay him to settle this whole dispute and not have to go towards fighting. So as opposed to paying a record $20 million, which I don't even think Deontay Wilder wants to have, from the outside looking in, it looks like Deontay Wilder is very upset and he just wants to make a big scene and get a lot of attention. No, not to Deontay Wilder. I love the Bronze Bomber. But the way he took that L from Tyson Fury and made a bunch of excuses afterwards, it's not a good look for any champion, let alone any person. Look, you take some L's in life, you got to take them like a man, take them like a woman, take them like a whatever you decide you want to classify yourself as. When you take losses in life, keep your chin up, keep it moving. It's never a loss, it's always a lesson. But he claimed that there were egg weights, that Deontay Wilder said that Tyson Fury had loaded gloves, none of which has been proven. I'm not one to believe it. Honestly, I don't. I don't believe in a great big conspiracy where a British guy came from across the pond just to pay everyone out and bribe all the officials involved in the hand wrapping and the taping of the glove, just to go out there, beat Deontay Wilder, and what? Give all that money to charity? So essentially what the accusation is that Tyson Fury cheated just so he can give even more of his purse money to charity, because Tyson Fury donates most of his money to charity anyways. If you didn't know, Tyson Fury is not fighting for money. He's fighting for legacy. He wants to be the baddest man and have his name ring throughout history. He's one of those guys. And those kind of guys are very different type of fighters. There's Money Mayweather fighters who specifically play the game to win the most money, and still has his critics to this day as he's watching Canelo Alvarez tear his own legacy through boxing history. And then there's fighters like Tyson Fury. He wants to fight everybody. He was the lineal champion. He won all those belts when he beat Vladimir Klitschko in 2016. Lost all of his belts, but not the lineal championship. You cannot lose the lineal title as the man that beat the man unless you are defeated in the ring. He had his belts taken away and stripped of him because he didn't defend them when he went through that substance abuse problem and mental health concerns. Came back, won some of the belts back. He's still the lineal champion. So, either way, from what I understand what's going on with that situation is it looks like they're going to fight at Allegiant Stadium July 24th. That looks like my best guess. They're going to have that third fight between Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury. I don't know why Deontay Wilder doesn't take a warm-up fight or at least a tune-up fight. When you get rocked that nasty, I would highly recommend you get at least 1 or 2 tune-up fights to build your confidence up. He's also with a new trainer in Malik Scott. And you definitely want to acclimate to a new trainer and a new trainer's style. Now there's this video going online and everybody's hyping it up. Look, Deontay Wilder's got movement, he's cutting angles. Look, I've been in boxing gyms most of my adult life. It really did look like he was really learning too much new mechanically through Malik Scott. And that's just my opinion, just how I feel about the situation. I hope it works out to where everybody gets entertained. When push comes to shove, I'm a fight fan and I want to see entertainment. So if it has to be Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury 3 again on July 24th, they're going to possibly move the fight date for Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury to November or December if they end up getting that July 24th fight date and Deontay Wilder doesn't take the settlement money. Personally, I don't know why Deontay Wilder would want to go through that again. It takes years to learn how to fight on that back foot. In that fight, we clearly saw he wasn't good on the back foot. He can learn that skill, but at the age he's at, 29, 30 years old, it would definitely take multiple fights and at least a few years of constant training of slipping, going under, and learning to punch off that back foot if it wasn't a skill you already had as a fighter. Anyways, just my views on it. I want to see both fights go down. I want to see Tyson Fury fight Anthony Joshua. I want to see Tyson Fury fight Deontay Wilder again. I want to see Deontay Wilder fight Anthony Joshua. Heck, I want to see Deontay Wilder fight Andy Ruiz Jr. Let's keep it a whole beam with you. Anyways, let me know what you think about this whole Deontay Wilder situation in the comment section. Who do you guys have picked for that undisputed fight between Jose Ramirez and Josh Taylor coming up? Comment section. Hit like if you haven't already done so. Hit follow, folks. This is the beginning of the takeover. You're watching the most informed boxing page on this app of YouTube, Hot Boxing Minute.